If you seek truth, you will not seek victory by dishonorable means. And if you find truth, you will become invincible. Epictetus. Good morning, everybody. It's been a while. Sorry about that. Just been pretty busy lately. Single parenting and all that jazz. My mother was here visiting as well, and she laughs because I joked that it's like I'm basically babysitting 3 kids. All right, so let's go to my usual after intro. You may donate via Bitcoin or Vertcoin. It's been over 17 months, still $0 as far as any cryptocurrency donations. You can see my transactions on the blockchain explorers. These 2 transactions, I took money out of my Patreon. Yeah, that's right. And gave it to Susie Dawson when she needed it. And on Vertcoin, still nothing yet. I doubt I'll be staying on Google. Google will probably shut me down. But if you want to, during my live streams, you can donate via Google Super Chat, and they take a big chunk. So if you would rather donate, you can always do it through PayPal.me. I'll get notifications. I can say my thank yous when I notice. And also on the first video of the month, I will disclose any donations I received for the closing month and also in total. And PayPal.me, I set up September 22nd of 2019. Now, if you don't have any money to donate, you can prove the globe earth and get $15,000 from Zen Garcia. Then donate to me at 10% finder's fee. Proving the globe earth should be easy, right? Isn't that what they supposedly did? Of course, you don't prove anything. You disprove things. That's how science works. Okay, so join the Flat Earth People Finder at zoomtruth.com. Get involved. I'll be working on that. My last video was on that, my last live stream, and I'll probably be working out some of the bugs and adding some features and enhancements to it probably on Thursday and Friday. Probably mostly next week, just because I'm tired out. Really, I'm good right now, so that's good. My daughter's got a concert tonight at her school, and tomorrow we'll be driving to Omaha and back to pick up my wife, and the commute each way is an hour and a half long. Hey, Port from Co-op. Hi, Hope K. Hi, Megazog. Hi, Christian Zadavar. Man, my audio's glitchy. Let me listen to it real quick. Oh, so that's good. Yeah, it is. All right, I know the fix. Give me a second here. Let's see. All right. Give me a second. Hope this doesn't mess up my audio, but it's glitchy right now, so it's not gonna mess up too much. Thanks for the heads up. Okay. Unfortunately, version Okay, let's see how that goes. Testing 1, 2, 3. Actually, I know an easier way of testing my own audio out. Give me a second here. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right, good. That's good. All right. Yeah, I am married. Port from co-op. I'm just my wife's on a work vacation in Europe, so I get to be a solo parent, and it's hard. Okay, finishing my intro. You can always come on in, join me on my conversations or whatever topic I'm talking about. The link description is the link, and the information is in the description box on YouTube. You can see it on the screen, and if you're watching through DLive, you can not DLive. I'm sorry. If you're watching through DLive, you can request it, and I'll just paste it there. If you are watching on Steemit, you could see the information on description box. Steemit via vim.tv. And all of my information and broadcasts and whatever are free. There's no exclusive content and all this stuff. No membership stuff. It's always 100% free. The only drawback is the platform. So, for example, YouTube will copyright strike me, block me, or remove my content. So if you really want to see a lot of my videos without any of the censorship or me having to remove certain aspects of my videos in order for YouTube not to remove it, watch it on DLive during my live streams. Watch it on LBRY when I upload it, and you won't have to deal with, hey, I thought you we're going to show this, or you're talking about this. I didn't see any of that. Well, that's probably because you're still watching on YouTube. And I know a lot more people like watching it on YouTube. No, I have not yet part from co-op because I'm just too tired. But I will. Once my wife comes back, I think Thursday or Friday, because I was like, in my head, I'm ready to watch Stalker. I'm ready to watch Stalker. So yeah. You'll see me doing a talking about next week, or at least when I see you on, I'll mention Stalker. All right, so there's my intro. Just a couple of things. I mean, because I don't get to do much, I'm just basically babysitting, getting the house in order. But I did watch a couple. I'd like to listen to podcasts, listen to video interviews, and hopefully I can get a couple of these people on. Robert M. Price, he's been on a lot of different podcasts. I wanted to try to get Christopher or C.H. Lawson on, and Theogens and Christianity. What's interesting, right about this morning's topic, it's just going to be me kind of going over, just speaking off the top of my head on a couple of things that came to mind during the last couple of weeks, and it's been a very nice blur. I'm glad my mom visited. I'm glad we could have dinner with my wife's parents. I'm glad my kids can just have the experience of what? I did not give that thumbs down. Yeah, and all of that jazz. Where to begin? Here's and I might as well just switch it on over because there's really nothing much to show. It's just me talking. Let's see. This is a new thing. Magazine. That's funny. All right. So, what was I gonna start with? Interviews. No, let's start with vision. All right. We've got two eyes, but we can only focus on one thing, right? You would think we'd be able to, two eyes, we should be able to focus on two separate things. It doesn't seem to work that way. It's the whole Vesica Pisces type of thing, right? Do you ever wonder, like animals that have more than two eyes, are they able to focus still only on one thing? Just a little bit better with depth, or can they finally actually focus on more than one thing? I don't know why that came to mind. I think it's because when I think of interviews, and a lot of people don't quite just kind of slow down and relax and just realize, like, inter is between views, so it's basically an interview. When you're talking with someone else, it's between two different views, just like having two different eyes, or two eyes, two of the same eyes, but we're focusing on one thing, and we can only focus on one thing. But the more we have more people focusing on one thing, we can hone in on it a little bit more. It's not like we can it doesn't make any sense to have an interview and focus on talking about two different views. It needs to coalesce into one focused idea or result. So that's what I call simplicity, and the simplicity of truth. And that gets me down to the ideas of certain mystery school practices, where, and that's just not mystery schools either. There are certain religions. Well, I guess, how to put it? Not quite mystery schools, but they kind of have the same thought. Whether you're talking about Gentiles, or you're talking about what's that Jewish term they call people? I can't remember. You know what I mean. Basically, the certain sects or denominations or schools would say, look, the majority of people don't deserve to know any of this stuff. If they knew, just like in Plato's allegory of the cave, they'd just pretty much burn you at the stake. They'd call you out for heresy and just take you out, right? They've been taught, and that's the problem of it too. They've been taught certain things by the same leaders of these so-called sects, denominations, religions, mystery schools, the very base interpretation of something. And here's the thing that I was thinking about as far as the simplicity of truth. Let's take religious texts, documents, scriptures, whatever you want to call them. And why the verbosity? Why so many words? Why so many sentences, paragraphs, pages, huge books, when it can pretty much easily be boiled down to a sentence? Maybe like something like the golden rule: do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I mean, isn't that just the basic basis of everything, from different types of religions? And you would think that if these are accounts written of external gods, that those gods would understand language a little bit easier, to leave things less into interpretation and just be a little bit more straightforward about certain things. If I wanted to pass knowledge on to my kids, I'm not going to write a couple 1,000-page books where it's left to interpretation. I'm just going to tell them straight up, hey, just do this. Do you get it? No? All right. Well, now, oh yeah, Goyim. That's right. Port from Co-op Goyim. So that's just kind of the hypocrisy of these types of schools, religions, and all this stuff, where they hide the truth to the public. Because honestly, everyone is capable of knowing, everyone should know, and basically they would not be leaders of anything, founders, masters, if there were no slaves and students and all this other stuff. And it's like the I'll have to bring out that picture real quick and switch it on over, or let's open that up. You know, that's where we go into comfortable lies, comforting lies, I'm sorry, and unpleasant truths. So let me go ahead and share that picture a little bit better. Here we go. And let me move this. Where's that picture? Huh. Let's move it over here. And well, so much for that. Let's just go ahead and type it in. Where is it? There should be a good one. There's a lot of them. But the one that I used was pretty much something like that. Right? I think what should be added in that photo, in that cartoon, I'm sorry, is that people in line should have money in their hands waiting to give to that person that's on that booth for the comforting lies. And the person with the unpleasant truth, he should be the one that's like, hey, here's some money. I'm going to tell you some unpleasant truths, because it's what we need to happen in order for things to change. And everybody wants change, but they can't have change if they're just comfortable with how things are. And by being comfortable with how things are, you pretty much have to lie to yourself. Hi, Love Vibe. Oh, John M. Allegro. Yeah, I mean, isn't that it? I mean, what's the point of certain people just going on and just trying to tell people the truth and nobody wants to listen? You've got one of the things that I'm subscribed to on YouTube is IO, Inform Overload. It's okay. There's a lot of people that watch it, thousands of people, if not millions. They got some propaganda, but what they do, and a lot of was that I'm not quite tuned in this morning, but basically clickbait. They have clickbait titles and stuff like that. But what they do is they do some of the more popular celebrity content creator stuff, YouTubers, Instagrammers, all this other stuff, and kind of do those little exposed YouTubers exposed. So one of the things that I was looking at are, you know, celebrities, how they look without their makeup, or YouTubers exposed, you know, that they're photoshopping the stuff, they're like living a lie, but people enjoyed how they were living and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with the people who say, hey, this is the end of the world. It's on this date. And most people, I would think, would go, you know what? If they've been exposed, it's easy to see that it's been exposed. What they were saying didn't come true. You know, it didn't come true once. It didn't come true the second time. It didn't come true the third time. Yet you're still there. You're still giving them money, your attention, and it's like, what else is anybody else gonna do? It's like there's really nothing we can do. It's just a waiting game, and this is where it gets to the revealer and redeemer, whether it's through different types of religions or whether it's through Gnosticism. I will check him out, John M. Allegro. Thank you. Love vibe. So I've been thinking about it because the Matrix is a good example of the revealer, as Morpheus is the revealer and Neo as the redeemer. And imagine the entire point of the revealer being to reveal to the redeemer who they are, basically. I mean, he can also reveal to others, you know, what may be coming. So the problem I have with that is the revealer isn't the redeemer, or maybe the redeemer could be the revealer. Typically in these stories, there's always been a revealer without the powers of the redeemer, and that's why he has to find the redeemer. So the redeemer is something, the system or whatever it is, some type of god force or what have you, cannot stop. And it's the only way to stop it is imagine the Matrix or whatever we're in. Even the most powerful, whatever, no matter what comes through, they go through the same trap. You're not going to remember anything before. This is just a weird dimension. Let's just say that. And all you have to do, instead of stopping the redeemer, because you can't stop the redeemer, is just stop the revealer. The revealer doesn't have the same powers as the redeemer, so it's going to be easier to stop the revealer. So that's kind of the main thing. My main problem with that is you would think whoever or whatever the system is, or whoever controls it or built it, would stop the revealer rather than just find the redeemer or keep the redeemer in check or something like that, and just stop the revealer. Now, what gets me in the Matrix, the movie, is Morpheus. Morpheus is convinced, or has convinced a lot of people, that he knows who the one is. And how does he convince all these people? Is it just because of the Oracle and everyone? But that's another problem, because when he talks to Neo, and he probably talks to anyone else, it's like, what the Oracle tells you is for you and you only. So Morpheus, as the revealer, isn't going to reveal what the Oracle told him, because it was only for him and him only. So obviously he can't use the Oracle as something to solidify that he's the revealer and he knows who the one is, the redeemer. The other problem I have is, how did Morpheus know Neo, Mr. Anderson, was the one? There was no lead up to it. It was just, hey, I mean, it would be interesting to have some backstory on that, whether the Oracle gave him a picture. This is called Mr. Anderson. He's the one that you're looking for. It's like, because leading up to it, there's really no indication that he knew who the one was, and he never met the one to test him while in the Matrix. He was outside the Matrix observing Neo, and they found him. So can you find him outside the Matrix and then go in and all this other stuff? So there's a lot of things there. That's a little bit too easy to dissect, and I don't think it should be that easy. And now so all that aside, all those problems that I have with the Revealer, here comes the Redeemer. And the Redeemer is someone that's just gonna expose the truth to everyone, right? It goes against everything that the mystery schools and religions and all these denominations, sects, whatever, have. The Redeemer exposes the truth to everybody, and therefore that's what gets people, that's what saves people. That's kind of the entire premise of it. So the objective is to reveal the truth and expose the lies, and the entire system and those promoting the Redeemer, though not quite promoting the Redeemer, it's more like preventing the Redeemer from occurring. Because if they wanted to promote the Redeemer, they would just not lie. They would expose the truth themselves, but they don't. You got every type of system out there that are creating and propagating their own lies, for their own means, for their own end goal. And it just makes, I just sometimes wonder their effect is pretty much it's almost as if it makes it too easy. It's like the system itself becomes the revealer in some ways, because it's just so blatantly obvious when you really focus in on it that there's just lies and hypocrisy. Because if these systems were doing what they were meant to be doing, things would be set up a lot more rationally and logically, and it's not. And that's right, Captain Will. I should probably move it back. I like you guys' chat. And some people can't see the YouTube chat when they're not on YouTube, so I do like to focus on the chat to appear when I upload on LBRY and stuff like that. And there's just so much going through my head right now, because a lot of this goes through my head slowly, and so it's just weird to actually let this out without anything written. I think sometimes it might be nice if I just wrote things down, just to unfold things a lot easier for people, because it's even hard enough for me to just kind of untangle this weird web of lies, I guess. And so let's get to the Redeemer. Okay. Because the revealer, I mean, what's the revealer's purpose isn't to reveal things to everyone. Like, that's the problem with the Matrix and Morpheus, is he reveals everyone that Neo's the one. But his sole objective isn't to convince others that Neo's the one. He's to convince Neo that Neo is the one. And Neo, as the one, is the one who's going to reveal the truth to everyone so they can wake up. So to call the revealer the revealer and not the redeemer the reveal, I mean, it's just a weird way of stating something where the objective is pretty much the same for both. Because basically the revealer's job was to reveal things to the redeemer so the redeemer can reveal things to everyone else. But the problem with Morpheus in the Matrix is that everyone pretty much trusts Morpheus, that he knows how to find the one and to get that one to know himself. And then everyone else doesn't really think Neo's the one until Neo knows he's the one, and then it's easy for people to know because he's the one that can perform the miracles. And then again, hearkening back into religion, that's especially the New Testament, right? And Revelations and things like that, is you got all these antichrists that are coming out there in the future, supposedly sometime. They perform miracles and all this other stuff. So no one performs miracles as far as we know so far. And if there were someone that performed miracles, all these religious people are going to say, there's the Antichrist, perform miracles. And it defies the entire logic of, you guys have been calling all these presidents Antichrist, all these dictators Antichrist. They never performed all these miracles. Now we got someone who's a miracle, who's actually doing good deeds, telling the truth. And now you're calling that person the Antichrist? You guys are really, really, whew, you guys killing me. I don't know how the Redeemer's going to handle that. I mean, basically, the system has set up the system to defy the Redeemer at every pass. Everything the Redeemer is going to do to free everyone from the bondage that they have, and they're going to be at all points to try and stop them. Or it's just crazy, right? People don't think of it that way. They think of it as, oh wow, we can't wait for the real Redeemer or real Savior to come by, because that would be great. Except when the real one comes, it's like, oh, you're the anti-one. You're the one that's not supposed to be. And of course, you're never going to have the real one because everyone's trying to stop the real one because they all think that real one is the Antichrist or whatever. The one that's stopping them from being saved and freed and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of easy to see all this happening, but no one else sees it. That's the unpleasant truth of it all. People would rather give their time, energy, and money and materials and whatever to the comforting lies. And that's why this is such a big thing. I just all I can do is laugh. It's just I guess that it's just so unpleasant. It's unpleasant. It's unpleasantly funny. Another thing that I was thinking of, this is getting a little bit past the Redeemer Revealer stuff, but thinking of those that, how do I say it? Those that are here, that they just never feel at home here. It's as though his home is somewhere else. That they're always rebellious of the establishment, the systems that are here, and they don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It would just kind of suffice to say that they realize they don't really belong here. They don't want to be here, but they're here. Now there's another group of people who are here and they're comfortable with how things are here, even though things aren't perfect. They like being here. And then so those, we don't have to worry too much. They're okay with how things are. Now it gets to the point of those who are here and they feel like they're a slave to this reality and they want to leave. Now those are, I guess you would call, newly awakened, I hate using the term souls, but souls. And they see this place as a torture chamber, hell, something similar to that, even though it has some good parts to it. I always wonder, if you're in hell, do you ever get used to it? If hell, there is a thing as a hell that's for eternity, do you ever get used to torture? Do you ever get used to certain things that are horrible and painful and things like that? And the problem with the idea of hell and torture and things like that is that as far as material goes, and there's that fine line between pain and pleasure, right? You have too much pleasure, it starts getting to be painful. And if you have, but of course I don't think the opposite is true. If you have too much pain, then you're going to end up having pleasure. Who knows? Maybe we haven't gotten to that point yet. But that's the thing. Too much of something could be a bad thing. Where was I going with this? So let's say we are able to adapt to pain and this torture, psychological one or physical. Then it's not too bad. It's like, we got used to it, and I guess people just okay. I mean, yeah, it's bad, and it hurts. But there's some good stuff. Is this it? We're wondering, is this it? What's the point of it all? Why are we here? I mean, let's think about things that people want to do. Because people are toiling and working all day, 24/7, working 5 days a week, about 8 hours a day, probably more. Their commute's about anywhere from an hour, 2 hours. They got their lunch and their breaks. They want that 8-hour rest. That leaves them Pretty much anywhere from 4 to 6 hours of time to themselves. But let's say they get to have a vacation. When you go, like, just your perfect vacation. My mother was here for 5 days. 4 days. 4 days. She was ready to go back to Seattle or Washington State to the comforts of her home. Just that the routine of her usual routine. She loves her grandkids. She loves my coffee. She loves me. But she's it's tiring, and she just wants to go back home. So it's kind of the same idea, right? Of imagine being from a different world and going to another, and all you want to do is go back home. But there's a point to the visit. Let's just say. So what's the point of the visit? Okay, but let's go back to just a regular vacation. Let's plan a trip to Hawaii or Yellowstone National Park or someplace. 2 days is too little, right? Just going for the weekend, you're not going to be able to do much. Most people do a week with maybe at least a weekend. So 7 days, maybe 9 days. That's usually a good amount of time. Enough to see everything, but not to really experience everything. Let's say a month, which is hard to do. No one can really have a whole month of a vacation these days. That's really tough. You really have to be rich or wealthy and not have your typical job. Most corporations, they say, hey, we can't have you leaving for a month. That's just too much time for someone to replace you temporarily for a whole month. But let's just say a month. You're probably going to be tired of the place you're in for about a week and a half to 2 weeks. You've pretty much seen everything. You've done the touristy stuff. The next thing you're doing is the stuff that just kind of relaxing, enjoying yourself. And you get too relaxed, and it's like you're getting a little bit bored. You're kind of twiddling your thumbs, like, let's go do something else. So probably by the end of your second week, you're going out shopping. You're going to movies. You're just watching TV, even though you're out somewhere where you can just enjoy nature. And then by the last week, you're just like itching to go back to work and doing your normal routine, things that you were like, you basically spent 11 months out of the year or more planning this vacation for a month. And after the not even halfway through that month, you're just going, I can't wait to go back to my routine. Even though I was so excited to plan out this little trip and vacation or adventure, whatever it is. Yeah, I did it. Now let's go back. It's funny how that works, right? Now, people feel this place as torture, as being not good. It's kind of like the Gnostic worldview that this place isn't the heaven it's made out to be, type of thing. Not perfect. And they want to leave, and that's fine. Some people, they're done with it. It's just like playing a game. It's like at some point in the game, it's just not fun for them anymore. So this is where the concept of a couple of things like the bodhisattvas and I guess the Christ, the different types of not quite. Got to remember some of these terms. Basically, they come back to help others out. even though they know that every time they come back, they had to start over again. Not only do they have to start over again, they have to figure out who they were again. Not only that, they're going to have to go through the pain of living here again, even though it has some joys. And just to get other people to realize, hey, here's how you figure out who you are, what you're doing here, what you're supposed to be doing here, why you're here in the first place. And if you want to leave, well, this is how, but you're just going to want to come back here anyways, because you know why we're here. And when you realize why you're here, you know why you're here, you know why you came back. And it's almost like the opposite of the vacation. You're wanting to go back to work. You know, it was a nice vacation out there, but there's a lot of work to be done here, and that's why we're here to work. Not work as in like the jobs that we do, your 9 to 5 and your careers, not the material job. The job that was out there, if you feel like if this is not your home. And so that's what it is, you know. It's not easy, it's hard. And if this place was what we thought it was, and all the authorities were telling it like it is, the truth or whatever, it would be easy. It's not, because there's a lot of things we have to always confront. And who wants to start over? Not many people. When do you start over? Well, that's all upon you. You can start over whenever you want, or you can keep going as it is. But know that if you start over, you might just end up at the same place again. Maybe worse off, but at least you've gotten to the point now where you know enough that, hey, I don't want to do this all over again. I want out of this. And then when you get out of this, you realize, well, I have to go back in there. So finish what you've started and enjoy your time that you have, and make everything count. And then when you're ready to do what you need to do it. And it's almost like a waiting game, right? It's like I'm waiting. All right, let's go back to this fake routine that we've got, and let's wait for what's supposed to happen. But here's the thing. Maybe we're not supposed to wait. We just don't know what we're supposed to do yet. We know who we are. We just don't know what we're supposed to do and how to do it, because it just seems so easy before. You know, it's just like reading the instruction booklet before you play the game, or you build something that you're supposed to do. It's like you just start building it because, well, you just don't want to spend time reading. But basically, most likely, just like anything else, you're going to prep for your voyage, for your trip, for your vacation, for your work, for your job, for whatever it is. You're always going to be preparing yourself. So if you're preparing yourself, you're gonna notice, I wouldn't say see, you're gonna notice the prep work. And once you notice the prep work, you're like, okay. I set things up this way. And that means I'm ready to go because I've got everything I need. But if you don't have everything you need, then you know you're not ready, type of thing. It's just weird. So you keep searching. So you're always going to be searching. You're always going to be rebelling. You're always going to be tired and trying to figure out what to do next, just like in a video game. It's like sometimes you play a video game for so long and you just get tired of it. You get bored, you get frustrated, and you're like, I'm done. It's like, I can't get past this part of the game. I don't know what to do next. Or this level's too hard. I gotta go back somewhere else. I don't want to go back because then it's gonna take half an hour, 2 hours. You have to go to the same spawns, the same fights, and all this other stuff. It's like, oh, what's the point? I'm done. But then when you go back to it and you solve it and you got what you meant to be done, then it becomes enjoyable again. It was the game. It's like, I got this part done. I finished the game. I got this ending. You get happy, and then you're done. And sometimes the longer it was, the more it's ingrained, the more you're happy with it, because it felt like you put a lot of your attention and into it, and you got what you expected out of it. So in many ways, life is very much a game. Probably the most important game and the biggest game that we know of. And the interesting thing is, there's a lot of games that mimic life, like simulations, right? And those are kind of a big thing. Simulated games. A lot more people enjoy more the fantasy, the role playing, stuff like that, so they can immerse themselves into a different type of world. But a lot of people like simulations, like Sim City, like Sim Life and stuff like that. A lot of people love it because it's basically the real world in a cartoon or whatever it is. But they're able to do things and build things that they can't do at the moment because they don't have the means, and they just enjoy that. And then I wonder if I always wonder if the wealthy people who play sim games, are they going to do sim things of like just the exact replica of what they have, what they do? Or are they going to be like, hey, what's it like to live in a single apartment with a poor paying job? And I don't know. I just always wonder about that. It's like, what's it like to be poor? Well, maybe I'll play a sim game and I'll just be a poor person. Well, everyone else is majoritively poor. They go, what's it like to be rich? Oh man, this is awesome. I got this nice sports car. I got hundreds of them. I got my own personal garage of them. I got this mansion that has like 47 rooms, and there's only 2 people living here, and so all this other stuff. So, but yeah, I don't have the answers. I only got the questions, but the questions will lead you to the answers. Questions will lead me to the answers. But if we don't question, we're not gonna seek an answer. And only questioning do you seek answers. When you don't question and you just think what you have is the answer, that's it. That's the answer. That's just you're done. It's like, yeah, I got the answers here. The answers are at the end of the book. At least the odd questions have answers. Who needs to figure out the even answers? I got half the answers right here, so most people don't even have that. It's like, well, if you that was like me with all these homework questions in high school. I was horrible at doing homework. I would fill out the homework during the day of class, the start of class. I'd be finishing up. I don't know how I passed out these classes. I never did any of my homework. And it's like, yeah, all of that really, it doesn't seem to matter. I mean, it's just like the religious scriptures, they're so numerous where you just want to know what the truth is. Instead, you have to go through this whole bloated thing. Same thing with the school textbooks. Do I remember anything in the school textbooks that applies to any of the jobs that I had afterwards? No. Most of the jobs, if you don't know how to do it already, you were trained for it or you learned on the job. So what is school, public education for, really? Well, it's to... One, I think it's the social aspect of how to deal with different people. And there's so many things, so many different types of people usually in schools that they all enjoy doing their own thing. You got your cliques type of thing, at least for me. Hey, Zoom Truth, how's it going, Greg? And the other aspect is to try to figure out what your inclination is, of what you enjoy doing, what are you good at doing. And most people who find out what they enjoy doing, they're usually good at it too, because they enjoy it. There are certain people that can be good because they're forced to do something, but they don't enjoy it. For example, my brother I guess he wanted to play the violin, so he played the violin. He was good at it, and I think my parents paid like $400 for the violin. So after he was done with it, he's like, I'm done. I don't really want to play the violin anymore. They say, Ebon, we don't want to waste this $400 violin, so you're gonna learn to play it. And I'm like, I don't want to learn to play the violin. Well, you're gonna learn to play it, or else. And it's like, okay, fine. So I played the violin for a year or two. I was okay with it, I could read some of the music, I could play it, but it's like, I'm not into it. So I never studied, I never wanted to do anything with it, and so I never got any better. I was horrible. At some concerts, I just faked playing the violin. I just made the motions, because if I actually played it, it would make some bad sounds. So I stopped. I was just like, no, this is just horrible. It's like, I don't even care to get better. I'd rather just fake playing at concerts and just play horribly, and that's not good for anybody. That's not good for me. That's not good for the listeners. That's not good for the teachers. That's not good for the other people who play the instruments. It's not good for anybody. But some things that I did want to get good at, I got good at. I remember, I didn't like basketball too much at first. I don't know why I wanted to play. I think I watched TV, and so I watched basketball there, and it's like, oh, that'd be cool. I would love to do that, because you got the 3, 2, 1. You either brick it, or you airball it, or you make it. And if you make it, that's awesome, because it's like that moment doesn't come very often. And so so I played, and it was bad. I used to wear pants, not shorts. This is like in fifth grade. I would put my hands in my pockets, playing with slacks, and I had glasses, they'd break and all this other stuff. I was horrible. I shot out the wrong basket. My own teammate tried to block it, because my brother would tell me, just rebound. Just focus on that. Don't worry about shooting. Don't worry about dribbling. Just get the ball and pass it to your teammates. And I did. But once I started doing that, my brother goes, okay, next step. Once you get the ball, just put it back up, because sometimes I would just get the ball on the offensive end. I would pass it to my teammates, even though I was right under the basket. So he goes, just put it back up. So I think I took heart to what my brother said. I got the ball, I put it back up. But then I realized a little bit too late that I was rebounding the ball from the defensive end. And then, yeah, that's when I was young. And then that like blocking out and stuff like that, my brother taught me. And then, but he got to the point, he's just frustrated. He's like, I don't want to teach you anymore. You're horrible. Why don't, like, people, he always says, people are out there, it's like, there's only, that only Asian kid, get that Asian kid out of there. And everyone's looking around in the stands. It's like, hey, that's probably like his brother. It's like, hey, why don't you teach him basketball? So he didn't like it. So he didn't want to do anything. He didn't want anything to do with me, with basketball. So, and I think it's the same with my father. My father didn't want to watch me play. He didn't want people saying, is that your kid out there? Man, he's horrible. But to me, I think at that point, it was like, you know what? My brother won't train me. No one could train me. I'm just going to train myself. And that's happened time in, time out. I was so bad at being taught by others that I had to teach myself. And in teaching myself, I motivated myself. And people just say, man, you play ugly. And that's another thing. I may play ugly, but I play my way. Just like in poker. In poker, when I beat people in a hand, they go, why do you play that way? That's the stupidest way to play. It's like, well, if I played your way, it'd be like the smartest way to play for you, because you probably would have won. But I played my way. I would rather play the way that you hate rather than the way that you like. Because if I played the way that you liked, that means there's something in it for you. But if I played the way you hate, you're not going to want to play me. And usually that's because you're not winning. Right? So play your own game. Play not the way other people want you to play. Maybe your teammates, but not the opposition. You go, man, you got an ugly shot. Like, they'll trash talk you. That's why I love it when people trash talk me. I don't say anything. I just do what I do. And then they'll usually just shut up. Sometimes I'll say, what was that again? They don't have any comebacks when you score. I'm sorry, what was that thing you said earlier? It was like, and they keep repeating themselves. It's a line. You score again. It's like, I'm sorry, what was that? You steal the ball from them. Were you saying something? They just get out of their game because they're just so angry, because they take them out of their game. Their game is trash talking and make you try to lose your game, the way that you play. But if you're not fazed by it, you're not fazed by it. It's just like people telling you what to think, how you should act, how you should dress, how you should look, all this other stuff. It's like, no, I don't care about any of that. I don't care what you think. I'm just gonna do things my way. Why don't you do things your way? And they get blah 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 blah. They get angry and stuff like that. So it's always been the way for me. I'm sure that it's always been the way for some of y'all. Like, some of y'all probably don't care what other people think. I've never cared. And that's what gets people so angry. That's what gets the system so angry. It's like, why aren't you doing it? We want you to do this. No. No. It's just great. Why? I don't see it as a nature versus nurture type of thing. It's definitely not in my genes and my genetics, because then my brother, who shares most of it, would be similar to it. Same thing with my father and my mother. My father, my mother, my brother don't experience it, so I'm like the black sheep of the family, maybe. But then there's a lot of you guys, right, out there, and you're that black sheep in the family too, if you're watching me and listening to me. So it's not genetic, it's not nurture, it's not nature. Now let's see if it's nurture. Now that's the same thing, right? If you're growing up with siblings, most of the time you're gonna grow. Most of your time is spent in the same household, the same place where you're nurtured, and so that's the thing. That's the problem with psychology, with nature versus nurture. Is you've got people, same family, who share the most similar genetic traits, and yet someone turns out really different. Why is that? Is something outside of nature versus nurture. Just something. Something that wasn't manifested here. Something that was carried over. Who knows? And wheeled skeptic. That's a good thing. I like skeptics. Skeptics are good. You can't find the truth unless you're skeptical about it. If you're too accepting of something, what someone states as the truth, how are you gonna know it's the truth? You pretty much have to say, look, what you're telling me is too far-fetched. Everyone else says it's this. MSM says it's this. The government says it's this. The bank says it's this. The mystery schools, religions say it's this. And you're saying it's not. So, obviously you're wrong until you find out that, hey, mainstream media, they lie. Governments, they lie. Religions, banks, mystery schools, they lie. So, there's this guy telling the truth. He's not doing it for money. He's not doing it for fame. He's not doing it for power. What's this guy's catch? Yeah, what is the catch? What's the catch of the truth? I mean, a lie has many manifestations to it. There's always a motive behind a lie. What's the motive behind the truth? And what is the truth? Why even care about the truth? Is there if there's no motive behind it? I think that's one of the questions that I'm tackling right now. Is what's the motive behind the truth? And when we find the truth, I mean, is it just to not lie? That just seems too easy. I don't know. I have to figure that one out. I guess I'm still there, working things out with the time that I got. And there's something else on my mind. Oh, wow. It's been an hour, 10 minutes. I'll probably close it up pretty soon. Oh, has anyone been trying to join? I totally forgot to have the sound on if people came in or not. So if you try to join but you can't, just let me know on the chat, because sometimes I forget things. All right, so what else is there? Yeah, I think that's the weird thing about it. It's like, well, it's like, what's the point of finding the truth out of all these lies that we have to just kind of keep finding and keep having to say that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. So why hide the truth? What's so important about hiding the truth? I mean, is it because if the truth was out there, you can't get anything out of it? I mean, it's like, I mean, is there no supply and demand with the truth or something? That's what I don't get yet. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Because imagine, I can't. Well, you would have to imagine. That's the thing. Zoom Truth. Watched about half of Truth Live video. You thinking we need our own land sort of thing? No. It's... This place, the world we live in, it's not our home. You can't own anything. It's you're leasing it, you're renting it, you're licensing it, you're permitted to access it. You don't own anything. And the reason you can't own anything, it's either because we're slaves or we're it's the owners, the real owners of it don't want any of us to have any of it. So either of those two answers, and I'm trying to find out more, any ors, includes there's a master who we don't really know. We can't see their faces. Or there's some landowner out there. Of course, we still don't know who they are. We pertain it to a government or a bank or something, or some institution behind the scenes when we have no idea who's in those. Oh, no problem. That was for Wield Skeptic. Because I wonder why not have people own something? I mean, yeah, there are a lot of type of people out there where they don't see land as something as being owned. Yeah, that's just not their way of life. But something out there is just preventing. They want to own it. They don't want anyone else to own it. What would you do if you owned something? I guess you would build something and you would plant things and you would basically build your own system within the system. I mean, even the software that we use within all the hardware, even the simulated areas, the nether realm, I don't know what you want to call it, the ether, the ethernet, whatever, that is all licensed, right? You create something, it's not yours. You know, if you create something, you can anyone could take it, so you have to patent it or copyright it, but others can still use it. So you can't create something just for yourself. Others are able to have it. Yet when others create something, you're not able to utilize it. So it's kind of a one-way street all the time. So anytime that you create something, someone else could take it and you could say, hey, wait, no, I thought that was protected. No. You don't get it. There's some here that can take whatever of yours that they want, that you create. If they create it, you cannot take it. It's like, I didn't know it worked that way. Why is that? Can you explain it? They'll go, no. Hey, plain truth. And so I'm always kind of wondering, all right, I want to see the man behind the curtain. What's behind the curtain here? How come you keep saying, "Hey, we can't look past here"? And I think that's what it is. I think keep going to that step, and I think for me at least, I'm biding my time for something. I don't know what it is yet. I'm still waiting. You could say I'm waiting for a sign, but I think I'm just waiting to see if I can figure out all the prep work that I did before, so I know I'm ready. It's like scouting ahead, just like any video game. Like when I play video games, scouting is an important thing to me. Figuring out what the other person's doing. Playing the game like they don't want to play against someone they don't like how they play. They like playing against people that they like how to play. You know, they play like everybody else, like a robot, doing things people wouldn't think of. They hate that. They say that's cheating. They say that's either exploitive or cheap. I think cheap is the good word. People hate people who play cheap. It's like, dude, it's part of the game. If you want to play cheap, you can play cheap. You know, they didn't make the game saying you couldn't play this way. Otherwise, they would have had rules and, you know, coded it a certain way. So I think I've got to scout it out a bit more, and then figure out how to play in a way they don't want me to play, which is the way I typically like to play. So, I mean, those are my next steps, and get into their heads. They try to get into ours, right? They always seem to do that. So we got to get into theirs, and I think I got it. I got it. If I'm good at anything, I'm good at getting people angry, or intimidated, or confused, and I think that's what we need. Anyways, got to escape the cave. Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave. I'm thinking a little bit about that, and I know the segue that I wanted. I think I'll spend a little bit more time on this one. Okay, going towards people who seek power to rule because they would enjoy what that brings. Now let's take two examples, kind of polar opposites of people who are in power. Let's take a philosopher king like Marcus Aurelius, who did things for other people, who view ruling as a public service to others, to have justice fair and equal to all. And then you have someone else who's a dictator, who usurps power to bend others to their will, to have others serve them, to enjoy the fruits of others' labors. They utilize that power so they could keep the material pleasures, rather than a philosopher king who can be viewed as a dictator, very similarly to the idea of, there's going to be a miracle maker. That's going to be the Antichrist, even though there have been no miracle makers and therefore no one's been saved, type of thing. So the idea of, hey, this person's a dictator. Well, no. He's doing this for everybody. To everyone to have their own sovereignty, their own independence, all this other stuff. You know, that's the purpose of one person, so there's no corruption. If you have an incorruptible king or leader, president, whatever, you're going to have an uncorrupted society. And so if you have a corruptible person, well, you're going to have a corrupted society. So what do we have now? We have a corrupted society. So the idea that You got two different people. Now, when you have someone who wants to take that power, be an actual dictator, and enjoy the pleasures of it, and have the public serve him rather than him serve the public, there's a lot to gain from it, right? I mean, you're going to enjoy being in that position. Now, if on the other hand, you view that position as a service to others, you're not going to enjoy it at all. Can you imagine spending your entire life serving others in when you don't have to? You could enjoy the pleasures of it. You can become corrupt. You can do all the things that you want. Instead, you refuse to. You just make sure that others can do the things that they want, as long as it doesn't prevent others from doing the same. You're going to see it as a burden. So I often wonder if maybe that's why no one really wants to take that position. So no one, I think that's why with elected offices, that's why we transitioned that from some type of dictatorship, monarchy type of thing, because no one's gonna volunteer themselves to be in that position to serve everyone else that pretty much hates them for being in that position. It's like, well, I would do it this way. I don't like you. I'm going to try to kill you. Others like, hey, this isn't fair. I should have this. That person should have less. It's like, no. That's not how it works. You got to remember, fairness for all. It's like being a father figure to, I guess, whatever, billion kids or a couple hundred, million or whatever. It's like, it's a pain in the ass. Why would anyone want to take that position? That's why I think elections are around democracy. It's like no one would want to run. The only ones who want to run are the ones who want to enjoy the power that it presents, in lieu of the people who voted you in. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Was there something with the Plato allegory of the cave that I was thinking of? There was, but I can't remember. So I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you for joining me on this live stream. I'd say probably on Friday or next week, things might get back to normal. I'll probably be doing regular live streams again. Who knows? Because that's gonna be Thanksgiving weekend, so that could be a tough one. December, at least for the first. December should be more normal. I'll probably do more of my regular live streams in December, but expect me to do a couple of live streams this month. Just things have been a little bit tough and rough, but that's good. When my mom's here, I always excuse me. I always joke around with her just to relax. You know, when you live here in Columbus, Nebraska, nothing's going on. You don't have to rush anywhere. You just take your time, enjoy yourself, relax. My mother always lived in cities. In cities, you're always in a rush. You want to beat the traffic. You want to beat the lines. You want to, get everything all done, ready for next day. Because next day you want to go ahead and beat the rush. It's it's just funny. And so I always tell her relax, and then she always goes, man, why do you make things so tough? It's like, why do you live here? This is a tough living. It's like the tough living is always the most enjoyable experience. It's like right now, like is there anything memorable? It's like just nothing. But when we're living tough, way back when we lived in Greenwood, Washington State, around there, like things were tough. You know, when I was poor, she was poor, and you know, my brother was who relied on, and she was like, that was the most memorable and funny experiences because things were just so bad, right? But when things are good, you know, it's not as memorable. I mean, it's nice. It's just not as memorable. But no one wants to live through those tough experiences again, even though it was memorable. It was just so tough. It was unpleasant. Um, but it was it builds character and all that other stuff, and makes you not forget about how things can get and be, and how things are for for others, and it's not easy for others. But anyways, I don't want to go on about that yet. Thank you for joining me this morning. Probably won't see you tonight. Maybe I will if I have something to talk about. There's always something to talk about though. And have a good day. Thank you.